Hello and welcome back. This is another fourth grade math video. And in this video, what we're going to be focusing on is how to multiply two-digit numbers times two-digit numbers. Okay, here is our first one. We're going to multiply 11 times 60. And throughout this video, I'm going to show you different ways to do it. So I'm going to kind of do a few of them in one method and a few of them in another method. For this one, I'm going to show you what we would call standard algorithm. Okay, so in standard algorithm, you usually take the number that has the most digits and put it on the top. But now, since both of these numbers have two digits, it doesn't really matter which one you put on the top. You could put 11 or 60. Some learners just like to go ahead and put the bigger number on the top so they don't have to think about it. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put 60 up here and 11 here, right on top of each other stacked, is a phrase that you'll hear a lot when we're adding and subtracting, and that can be used here as well. First, I'm going to multiply the two numbers in the ones place, so 0 times 1, which is 0, and then the number in the tens place on the top times the number in the ones place on the bottom. So 6 times 1 is 60. Okay, once I've multiplied that, I'm going to erase those lines, and there's a couple things I need to do. One of them is to add a 0 down here. And what that means is for the second row, we're going to be multiplying by a number that's in the tens place. I am finished multiplying by this 1, so I can cross it off if I'd like. And that helps me visually realize, oh yeah, I'm multiplying by the other one, not that one. So 0 times 1 is 0. So you start with the ones place, and then you multiply it by whatever you're multiplying on the bottom. Then 6 times 1 is 6. Okay, so we end up with 600 as our partial product. Then we need to add those together. So 0 plus 0 is 0, 6 plus 0 is 6, and 6 plus nothing is 6. So our final answer here would be 660. Okay, here is our next one. And for this one, I'm going to show you something that I call partial products. Some people call it something different, but it's where we basically split up one number, but not the other. So a lot of learners, what they like to do is split up the smaller number. So if I was going to split up 56 by its place values, that would be 50, and that would be 6. Okay, 50 because we have a 5 in the tens place, and that's 5 tenths. So that's 50, and then 6 ones. Now I'm going to write 92 up here twice. So 92 here and 92 there. So what I'm going to do is multiply these separately and then add them together at the end. So I'm going to start with the 92 times 6. 2 times 6 is 12. So that gives me a two-digit answer, which means the ones go down and the tens go up. So the 2 goes down here and the 1 goes up here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase this, and then I need to multiply 9 times 6, which is 54, and add the 1 that I just regrouped. So that would be 55. So 5 goes here and the other 5 goes up here. Since there's nothing to hold it, it's going to fall straight down. So here's our first partial product. It's 552. Now over here, we can do a little shortcut because 50 ends in 0. So what I can do is I can move this 5 over here, line it up here, and then I can put the 0 hanging out here just to remind myself to add it back in at the end. I'm going to multiply 2 times 5, which is 10. So 0 here and regroup the 1 because ones go down, tens go up. 9 times 5 is 45 plus 1 is 46. So 6 here, 4 here. That falls down. And now I just need to re-add this 1 and bring it back down. So these are my two partial products, 4,600 and 552. To get my final answer, I'm going to add those together for 4,600 and then 552. So let me add those up. That would be 2, 5, 11, and 5. So my final answer to this would be 5,152. Okay, here's our next one. It's 17 times 13. And for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you using a box method or an area model. That means I'm going to split up both of these numbers into their place values. So I'm going to split up 17 because it's got 1 10 and 7 ones. So I'm going to put 1 10, which is 10, and 7 ones. Okay, so I'm gonna make my box under here and I have two columns for that, one for the tens and one for the seven. Then I need to split up the 13. So 13 has a one in the tens place, so that represents 10, and then three ones. So that's how I split that up. So I had to split up both numbers this time. So if my top left box is what I'm going to get when I multiply the number on top times the number on the side. So 10 times 10 is 100. If I move just to the right, that means I'm multiplying 7 times 10, which is 70. Now, some people like to go ahead and add those together, which they can do and get 170 out here. But if you want to wait till the end to add them all up, totally fine. Okay, in the left on the bottom, that's 3 times 10, which is 30. And then 7 times 3 is 21, and that equals 51. Now we can add those together. So we'd get 1 here, 12 here, and 2 here. Final answer to this would be 221. Okay, here's our next one. This is 19 times 52. So for this one, I'm going to show you the standard algorithm again. So I'm going to take the larger number, which is 52, and put that on top, and the 19 right under it. I'm going to start by multiplying the two numbers in the ones place. So that would be 2 times 9, which is 18. And I have to split that up because it's a two-digit answer. And then I would multiply 5 times 9, which is 45, plus adding the one that's on top of the 5, which would give me 46. So I'd have to split that up as well. There's nothing to hold up the 4, so it's going to fall straight down and land right here. Okay, now I am finished multiplying by the number in the ones place, which is 9. So I can cross that off. I can erase these lines. I can also cross off or erase these little numbers up here because I'm not going to need them again. But what I must absolutely do is add a 0 for my second row. That shows that my second row is when I multiplied by a number in the tens place. So that is very important. 2 times 1 is 2, and 5 times 1 is 5. So there's my two partial products. I add those together, I get 8, get another 8 here, and then I get a 9. So 19 times 52 is 988. Okay, here is our next one. We're going to take 24 and we're going to multiply it by 30. Now, in this case, I'm going to show you not the standard algorithm, but I'm going to use kind of a trick we can use multiplying numbers ending with 0. So I've done a previous video on that. So if you want to check that out and see what that's like, go ahead and look at that video. But for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the numbers that are not 0. So that would be 24 times 3. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply 24 and 3 together. 4 times 3 is 12, so I'd put 2 here and 1 up here. 2 times 3 is 6, plus the 1 is 7. So that gives me 72. Now I just have to take this 0 that was at the end of the 3 and add it back to the end. So that would be 720. This is kind of a version of that partial product one I was showing you guys earlier in this video where we would multiply and then add a 0 back at the end. So this is very similar to that. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you in another video soon.